Hey, Burge Linton here from Jake's Feed. Today we're going to talk about planting plants in the cucurbit family. What I'm talking about here is pumpkins, squash, watermelons. Those type of plants grow differently than your purple hulls or your green beans. They tend to sprawl a little bit more, so you got to give them a little bit more space. You may have heard of people tell you you need to plant them on a hill. Not necessarily true. If you've got real sandy soil, you're just going to dry your root system out and you won't hardly be able to keep enough water in them. If you've got a heavy clay soil that really tends to hold moisture, then a hill is great to let those roots get drained from the water so they don't stay too moist and get a root rot. Today I'm going to show you how to do each style. Even though in this sandy ground I'm going to plant more on a flat, and I've got a tip for planting on real sandy ground like I have. As with most things that I plant, I start by spreading some cotton burr compost where I'll be planting. I'll stir that into the ground. Just get it good and mixed around. You can see how loose my sand that I'm planting is. This organic matter will help actually hold a little bit of moisture. But cotton burr compost is a great source of potassium. And watermelons and squash love potassium. They need it to make good quality fruit. Now, if I were going to plant on a hill, I would have my dirt mounded up like so, and I would pack it down some. And then I would plant, not right out on the edge, but a few inches in from the edge of that. Just plant around sort of the outside, but don't get too close to the edge, because a lot of times that dirt will wash out and it'll expose your root system. But if you've got heavy clay soils, or heavy soils that hold moisture, planting on a hill like this is great. What I have is more sandy soil, and so what I'm going to plant is, I just call it, I'm planting on a flat. And so after I've got my cotton burr compost and everything mixed in, I'm just going to smooth this out. I don't want that raised up because this ground doesn't hold a lot of moisture. I'm not going to be watering every day, and if I had it on top of a hill, I'd have to keep that root system moist. It just drains too well. What I like to do if I'm planting on a flat is actually mound up some dirt right around the outside edge. What that helps me do is actually pull the water so that I get more water on that well-drained sand. If we go through a little rainy spell and I'm afraid I'm going to get my plants a little too moist, it's pretty easy. You just knock down that hill around there and that opens it up to let the water drain off. And if we come back into a dry spell, you can simply mound that back up again if you think you need to get a little bit more moisture to those plants. I'm planting some cantaloupe today. We're starting with these transplants. Whenever I'm planting less than a dozen of something, I'll go ahead and use transplants. It saves you about 3 weeks in the growing process. And there's just no sense in buying a ton of seed when you're really only looking for 10 or 12 plants. So I just pack these, and make sure you get the soil around them good and packed in there. You know, try to be gentle with the root and the plant, but you don't want to leave air pockets around there. We're going to plant these about a foot apart, kind of in a triangle around the outside edge of my little circle here. We just pack those in good. Whenever you're planting cantaloupes or watermelon, you want to make sure you give them about a 6 by 6 area so they can have room to sprawl. Otherwise, they'll kind of choke your other plants out. And they really don't like competition, so giving them some room to sprawl really helps them out. All right, we just got done planting our cantaloupe. I'm going to move on to my watermelons now. We're going to use the exact same method planting the watermelons, and I use the exact same methods planting my squash. When we get done planting, we're just gonna give them a good soaking now. You can see with the hill I've put around them, how that water stays there and doesn't run off. It'll actually help that soak in really nicely down through the whole root system. Well, I'm gonna get to planting the rest of my plants. Y'all come by Jake's Feed and let us help you with your garden this summer.